The Supreme Court's term is entering its final days with decisions in about 10 cases remaining, including whether there should be limits on national court-mandated injunctions. That stems from the president's quest to end birthright citizenship. For tonight's interview, we are joined by CBS legal contributor and Loyola Law School professor Jessica Levinson. Jessica, so which of these ones remaining are you most interested in hearing about?
John, the one you just talked about, this issue of nationwide injunctions, which, as you know, the question is, if you walk into federal court and you challenge an executive order, maybe it's about birthright citizenship, maybe it's about something else, what can you get from a federal judge? Can the federal judge say, you're right, and that executive order won't apply to the parties before that judge? Or can the judge say, you're right, and this executive order isn't going into effect anywhere in the country? In my mind, this is the biggest case left because obviously it has implications far beyond any single executive order. We have other cases that we're also looking for, cases dealing with the free exercise clause rights, the religious rights of parents to direct essentially what their kids hear in school. There's a group of parents who sued saying that they want an opt-out provision based on school curriculum that reads to the children books about LGBTQ families, for instance. And then, as it seems almost every term, there's a big Voting Rights Act decision that deals with the tension of how do you comply with the Voting Rights Act, but also comply with the Equal Protection Clause, the 14th Amendment Equal Protection Clause. So there's still a lot left in those 10 cases.
Jessica, before we go back to this court, let me ask you about this case. The Supreme Court decided not to get in the way of a challenge to Virginia's prohibition on felons voting. What did you make of that?
So what I make is that sometimes the court likes to get involved early, as we see on the emergency docket in a decision that the court just made a few hours ago, where they essentially stayed a lower court judge's decision with respect to who can be deported to third parties and how much notice they need. And sometimes the court, as in this voting rights case that you talked about, likes to let things play out. This is a case that deals with individuals who lost the right to vote based on felony convictions. And what they're arguing is that there's a violation of a federal statute as a result of that. And the court said today, basically, we're not taking it right now. This is up on appeal. Let it play out. And then if you want to come back to us, you can.
So finally, what do you make of what the court has done so far and in the decisions they've made and the way they behaved and some of these unanimous rulings?
So this is always, as you know, that tipping point moment in the term when it looks like, oh, they're kind of actually getting along a lot. We see a lot of 9-0 decisions, even some 7-2 decisions where we see an interesting pattern with Justice Kagan sometimes either writing her own dissent or joining the majority. But I think what we're going to see at the end of this week, which we think is the end of the term, is more of these 6-3 typical kind of the conservative liberal divide decisions, just as we saw today on the emergency docket. But I expect the kind of kumbaya moments are going to be few and far between as we hit the end of June.
And we look forward to discussing those cases when they come out. Jessica Levinson, thanks so much for being with us.